Hey friends, this is Bobby Shanks, author of the upcoming book, Undateable. And we have a really interesting podcast for you today. We have a very special co-host all the way from Arizona. And here are our topics. We're going to talk about hall passes. Have you seen the movie? Do you know what a hall pass is? We're going to describe it. We're going to let you weigh in on it, so put it on the comments down below. We're also going to talk about happy wife, happy life. Is that true? Is that a real thing? What about happy husband? So tune in. This is going to be a great episode. Welcome our special guest from Arizona, our first out-of-town person on our podcast. You're going to love it. Stay tuned. Hey friends, this is Bobby Shanks, author of Undateable The Book, and today I have, like a 99% done version of my book, the manuscript here. And, everything we do here on this podcast, it's kind of funny, and I want it to be lighthearted and humorous. But this book and the things that I wrote in here, they're pretty serious. Because I have a lot of passion behind this particular topic of being undateable and the challenges with being a single adult. So I thought it would be kind of fun just to read the first few sentences from chapter 1, which I've never done before. So here we go. Chapter 1. Why singles today are undateable. Singles have become undateable. 18, 21, 33, 45, 50s, 60s, 70s. All of us that identify as being in the single category. If you're married and contemplating divorce, I want to seriously encourage you to try counseling first. Why? Because if you think your marriage has its dark sides, whatever they are, trust me, being single has just as many, if not more. I know what you're thinking. This guy is bitter, divorced, middle-aged, and calloused. That's why he's undateable. On the contrary, I'm pretty upbeat and a positive guy. I love people, all people. I love going on dates, and I'm open to a variety of prospective dating opportunities. But what I and millions of others have found is that once I get to a certain point, let's call it the DTR. And I'm not going to say what the DTR is. You got to buy the book. Chapter 1. Next time we'll do chapter 2. So let's kick this episode off. First of all, I want to introduce our producer of the show, the most ineligible bachelor in the entire Midwest, Ian Brown.
Just the Midwest?
Well, I was going to say internationally speaking, but
I would prefer to at least America,
Okay, how about North America?
Yeah,
Let me up your ante.
I'm sure there's plenty of European guys that are way more qualified for that title than me, but at least in America, I think I'm good. I think I'm there.
All right, North America it is. And I am really... okay, so today, for the first time ever, we have an import. Can I say that? Like officially be on the record? We have with us a delightful, amazing, super smart import from all the way from Arizona. So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so my name's Kate Higgins, and I'm actually from St. Louis, born and raised. I left here when I was 19, but I currently live in Cave Creek, Arizona. It's amazing. I love it. Beautiful. So I'm divorced. Been divorced almost 2 years. I have 4 kids. I love them. They're the best. So they take up a lot of my time and energy, for sure. I am a real estate investor. That's kind of new to me. It's something that I did during our marriage, but doing it on my own is a little different now. But it's been fun. I like it. And I'm kind of looking at the Midwest again for some opportunities.
All right, so hold on. That was very professional.
Okay.
Let's talk about you personally, just a little bit.
Okay.
One of the things I really dig about you is you're a country girl.
Yeah.
I like that. Tell me more about that, or tell us.
Okay. Well, I have 2 horses.
Mm-hmm.
I have my travel companion and best buddy, Boone. He's my blue heeler.
Mm-hmm.
We go all over the place together. I started getting into horses, I think I was about 2. My dad got me into that world, and it's something that just stayed in my blood. So I've had horses on and off the majority of my life, and I'm definitely a country girl. I would rather be outside barefoot than in a pair of heels walking around downtown city somewhere.
You know, I don't get to have this conversation, ever. So I guess this will be the first time. I'm one of, you know how people say people are old souls?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not supposed to be born right now. I think I'm here for a purpose right now, but I think the right place for me in history probably would have been 200 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you just kind of remind me of that.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I was probably supposed to be born during the Calamity Jane, Big Nose Kate era, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a part of history that I definitely vibe with. I think that's why I headed west from here. I had this draw.
Why did you move?
Originally, it started with I just felt stifled in the Midwest, and I needed to explore. I needed to have a variety of experiences. I knew that even in high school, and an opportunity presented itself in the form of a guy, a boy, and I moved north to Minnesota and lived on the Iron Range, just north of Duluth, about an hour. And so I lived up there on and off for a few years, and great experience. Although my first winter there, it was 60 below zero, and it snowed in feet, not inches. So that was interesting. I would go for walks in a snowmobile suit, and the corners of my eyes would freeze shut. You'd get little icicles. I'm not exaggerating. This is a real thing. And your nostrils
really
hair,
sounds horrible.
They freeze. Like, I didn't know this was a possibility. I'd never experienced cold like that. And then while I was there, I met some friends, and they had an aunt and uncle who lived in Montana and had a horse ranch. And so they had an opportunity. They did internships for females for summers in Montana to breed this special breed of Arabian horse called the Shagia Arabian. And that really kind of intrigued me. I wanted to know more about that breed. It's a little different, sturdier breed than the standard Arabian horse. So I signed up.
Sturdier breed.
Yeah. They're bigger and beefier, and they're solid. Most Arabian horses are more fine-boned and just petite. And so I decided to go out to Montana for the summer. And I got the year when that family decided they were moving from the location that they were in to a different part of Montana. So not only was I doing the breeding program, but I was building fences, plowing fields, installing irrigation pipe, moving pipe every day, multiple times a day. And then standing watch at night for mares that were about to foal. It was a cool experience. I did that for a few months. And then we did some breedings. I got kicked. I got run over.
Did you wear the glove? The one that goes all the way up?
Way up there? No, but God, I should have worn body armor. It was intense. It was something I really had never been exposed to before.
Yeah.
We did live cover, so it wasn't, we shipped semen out to different facilities, but we also did live cover, and so it can be dangerous for sure.
Yeah.
So I did that for a few months, and but then on my weekends I would check out different parts of Montana because it is an amazing state. I love it so much there. And I went to Missoula and met my husband.
That was a great overview. Awesome. All right, so Maestro, kick us off with something fresh, super hot, super new, requested or rejected.
Celebrity hall passes or hall passes in general?
Oh my. Is this on the list?
No, I made
You just made this up. Do you know what a hall pass is?
No. Enlighten me, please.
I'll let the producer tee this one up.
So, let's say you are dating somebody and they have a huge crush on Ryan Gosling. I don't know, that's the first name that came.
Or Ryan Reynolds.
Like Ryan.
It's one of the two Ryans.
One of the
Ryan
Ryans.
Gosling.
Every girl has a crush on one of the two Ryans.
Okay, fair
Okay,
enough.
Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Gosling, and this person, like, this is their celebrity crush. They love them, and essentially, it's the agreement that, okay, if Ryan Reynolds ever shows up in our lives somehow, some way, and wants to,
I call it the elevator.
yes, and wants to do,
If I'm in an elevator and Ryan Reynolds walks in,
and wants to do X, Y, and Z,
it's on.
With
Well, not
you,
with me, but you know.
then it's agreed upon that you, as the other person, would allow that. Or a hall pass could be someone.
So first of all, one of them's metaphorical,
Sure.
right? So so if you and I are coupled, and you and I are having a funny conversation, right, on a date night some night, and this topic comes up, and I say, who would be your hall pass? And you would say, you know, blank blank celebrity. And then I would say blank blank celebrity. Okay. And it would be fun, right?
Sure.
Just like fun couple talk. Not to be taken seriously, but that's a celebrity, right? Who's your celebrity crush? Do you have one? I want to know. I have one.
Kinda.
I have one.
Kinda.
I only have one. I've had two in my life.
I've had a couple.
Okay. Now, the second question is, in real life, a real life hall pass.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So let's start with the celebrity one. Let's keep it easy. Keep it light.
So do you want to know who my crush is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. First crush off the top of my head is Tom Selleck all the way.
Oh my gosh. I can't say who this person is in my life, but it's one of the most closest and important family members of my entire lifetime.
Really?
And her crush, Magnum P.I.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you like the Magnum P.I. version or do you like the True Bloods version of Tom Selleck?
I am more
Or you like both?
Well, he was pretty hip in the Magnum P.I. version. He was kind of like more chill and laid back.
Hawaiian
but
shirt,
I do like
red
the
Ferrari,
whole, yeah,
California.
for sure. Yeah, just super chill.
Yeah.
But I do really like the whole, is it Blue Bloods or what is that?
Blue Bloods.
Yeah,
My bad. Not
Blue
True
Bloods.
Bloods, Blue Bloods. All right.
So
He plays
he's
a
pretty
dad.
serious. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I really like him in that show, gotta say.
Let me tell you something. Tom Selleck, without a doubt, is the next Sean Connery.
Well, and Sean Connery is right up there. for
Sean
sure.
Connery's getting old, man. But that guy's got it going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a great voice, too. That's the thing.
Oh, I know. It's the accent.
It is.
Like,
sure.
I need to move to some country
go
where
live
my
over in
accent
Europe.
is cool.
Well, I think if you lived
Midwestern
in Europe for a
America.
little bit, maybe you could kind of work on an
could work
accent
on it.
and then come back, and then you could play that out, see how that goes.
Yeah, my accent's probably cool in some place like Portugal
Right?
or Antarctica, where
Right.
like nobody lives. All right, so my celebrity crush. So the first, I've only had two in my life.
Okay.
Only, ever two. The first one is Alyssa Milano,
Oh, yeah, for sure. I could see that.
right? So I'm a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that my celebrity crush on Melissa Milano was squashed, whenever I watched a movie with her and Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark. And so I had a crush on this girl for like years. The only girl poster that I was allowed to actually hang in my bedroom as a teenage boy, and it was a picture of her in a sweater and like low cut mom jeans, which we all know I
From
hate
like
mom jeans.
teen magazine
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, like you ripped out the
probably
centerfold.
bought it at Walmart for
Right.
$2 or something. And anyways, in this movie with her and Mark Wahlberg, I don't even remember what the movie was, but Mark Wahlberg lifted her up over his shoulder and then smacked her on the ass. And I'm like, well, that's mine.
You just ruined
In
it,
my
man.
head. This is years ago, probably 20, 30 years or something crazy ago. So that ruined my celebrity crush on Alyssa Milano.
Darn it.
All right, so a while back ago, there was a series that came out called Suits.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it. I don't know a lot
Okay,
about
Harvey.
I used to watch that religiously,
it. Really?
like every week.
I've watched all 9 seasons
Whoa.
twice.
There's
I've never done that before.
There was a point where I like bowed out because I couldn't keep up with the time and everything.
Yeah.
But one day I will watch the whole thing all the way through.
Right, so the main character is this big shot Manhattan attorney called Harvey. Harvey had a personal assistant. Executive. I think executive assistant is the right word to use.
Okay.
And I'm quirky. Like I don't fall for the Victoria's Secret model, the bombshell, the supermodel, the Baywatch girl. Like that's not me. Like I like a girl who fucking hustles. I don't know. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just something about her. But her name was Donna. Harvey's executive assistant, and she was a redhead.
Whoa.
Hold on, I'm gonna Google and get her like real life name.
See, that tells you how loosey-goosey I am about this sort of stuff. I don't even know what her real life name is.
Sarah Rafferty is her
Okay.
name.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I'll have to.
You better check her out. You better
I might
Google that.
have to check that out on Fans Only or something.
Never know.
That was shameless. Edit that part out, Ian. Donna, Harvey's executive assistant. She was never real revealing with her skin, but she always wore, a Manhattan, top legal law firm executive assistant.
Sure.
But she wore business suits. But now, don't get me wrong, she was beautiful, but it's how she handled him. Like Harvey is probably the most powerful attorney in the United States. He's known for being a closer.
Okay.
Right. And that's a whole other discussion. Closers versus, right. That's a whole other book, whole other topic. But Harvey's a closer. She handles him.
Okay.
I liked it.
So answer the question: how do you feel about
Donnas are like Ryan Reynolds. They only appear in movies. They don't exist in real life.
Anyways, hall passes requested or rejected.
Okay. Yeah, we went kind of long on that. Celebrity hall pass. I think it can be a fun conversation for a couple. I think it can be dangerous too. If you have someone in the relationship that's maybe just a little maybe has some past trauma.
Well, also,
Or
let's say
it's
the
just too
person's-
sensitive.
Let's say the person's celebrity crush looks completely different than the person they're dating.
Ooh, yeah, that could be harmful.
That can be
Yeah.
scary for the
I
other
think
person.
I'll tell you what, I think it's a dangerous topic when it comes to celebrity crush hall pass conversation. I think it's okay for a mature couple who can have fun with it and joke and it be, real surfacey and easy. Real life hall pass, no. By the way, a real life hall pass is where, like, if you're a coupled and you go to one or the other and you're like, hey, I want a hall pass. Mm-hmm. Like this guy or this girl or whatever, like I want to hit that.
Yeah, I'm going to opt out on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to reject that. I agree with you on the, I think it's dangerous. Okay, let me back up. I think it's fun. Like you said, if you're a mature, stable couple and you're going to play and it's silly and it's fun and you're watching a movie and you point out that someone else is attractive. Like, I'm all about that. That's
like it's one conversation that happened one time a year ago.
Fun. Yeah.
It's not an ongoing conversation.
But I think if someone's going to come to me and say, hey, I'd like a hall pass, I'm just not sure that I'm into that. No.
Yeah, that's a non-starter and a relationship ender for me.
I just think it could end badly. It would be, if people could really regulate their emotions and control all the parts and pieces of it, but that's just not human nature. And I just think it opens up Pandora's box.
I wish I had my computer here so that I could do a quick search on my book, because I have a whole section of my book about swinging.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Didn't see that coming, did you, Ian?
No, I did not.
It's an interesting section. I'll just leave it at that.
Next topic. Admitting, or the other person admitting on a first date that they are nervous. Mm-hmm. Someone, you sit down at the table and the first thing out of their mouth is, I'm really nervous. How do you feel about that?
I love it.
I love it too.
I love it.
It's authentic.
I want it.
It's so authentic.
I want it.
I think that's part of it's part of communication. I think it tells me a lot about someone. If they can communicate how they're feeling and be honest about it, I think it's a huge icebreaker.
So I'm gonna tell a story. It doesn't have anything to do with dating at all. Many years ago, I worked for a corporate company, and there was a lot of governmental oversight going on in that particular industry at the time, and big corporate companies were being called to question about their corporate practices. State by state. It was at a state level, not a federal. And I got called to be it's funny now that I look back on it because I was so young and an idiot. But anyways, I was called to be an expert witness in Jefferson City in front of the entire Public Service Commission, wow. Which is, I think, 5 judges, 7 judges, make up the State of Missouri Public Service Commission. And it was a room that was made for probably 50 people, and there were probably 100. And I want you to think about the Fortune 500 companies in the United States around the late 90s that were in telecom and that sort of thing. And their highest paid attorneys were in that teeny tiny little room in Jefferson City on that day, and I got called to this witness stand. And I had a stack of papers about this thick as an expert witness on some very specific technological things that were going on in the industry. And I got up to the podium. I dropped them. Couple hundred pages. in front of a room of 200 people and all those judges. I dropped it. My boss was there. My boss's boss was there. Our attorney was there. His attorney was there. Our senior counsel was there, and Fortune 500 companies. Yeah. There was no hope that I was going to be able to gather that paperwork together and put it on that podium and stand in front of those 7 judges and take 30 minutes of questions. So I gathered the paperwork. Right. It was bad situation. And I put it on the podium and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm nervous. I'm just nervous because I've never done it. Like, I was honest. I'm just nervous. And there's a main judge for the Public Service Commission. And she said, it's okay. We're just going to ask you a few questions. And they asked me a few questions. I probably wasn't up there for more than, I don't even think 10 minutes. Now, at the time, it seemed like really long for me. And like, when I was excused and I walked away from that podium and I went down and took my chair, the lead attorney for SBC, largest telecom in the United States ever, still to this day, looked at me and shook his head. I seriously thought I was going to get fired. So afterwards, my boss's boss, and our attorney and his attorney, I don't know how that works, we went to eat lunch in downtown Jefferson City. And like, I seriously think like they're not going to fire me right then, but the next day, like, it's over. And the lead attorney looked at me over lunch and he's like, that's the best thing that could happen. Because it made it real. Right. It made it authentic.
Right.
It made it so that I didn't walk up to the witness stand and I was like prepared.
That's humanity, though.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that was really long, but when this came up, all of that was like, psh,
yeah.
Like in a millisecond just flashed through my brain, that whole experience.
But I think that goes back to authenticity, and that's why in a situation like that, the more authentic you are, the better. Because
Agreed.
Then you're not hiding anything.
Yeah.
You weren't coerced into anything. You're just being authentic.
That was a long time ago.
Do you think for some, though, that's an aura of, oh, well, they're not confident? Or I prefer a confident person, so to some that might be a non-starter.
I mean, I'm sure for some personalities, but again, if you're asking me that question, then the answer is no, it's all about authenticity. I'd rather see someone fumble around and be authentic than try to fake their way through
so
it.
I want to get into this. Trying to figure out where I want to begin here. So, as a man, if I'm, and I've had this happen, if I'm on a date with a woman and I can tell she's nervous or fumbling a little bit or not even looking at me, not engaging, maybe she's an introvert, whatever. I find that attractive.
It's cute.
It's adorable.
Right?
Yeah. But for a woman,
it's honestly, it's another one of those things. It's situation by situation. if I can see that it's actually authentic, it's a totally different story than if it's there's some sort of drug on board or they've been drinking at 11 and it's Tuesday.
Took 3 drinks before they left the
Right?
house to warm up
Exactly.
so they could loosen up.
Like it's situation by situation, but for the most part, to me, it's adorable, even for a guy. I mean,
Interesting.
I like strong men, but it doesn't, just because you're a strong man doesn't mean you can't. I mean, we all have a variety of emotions, and you don't have to be stoic 24/7.
Okay, so and I'm going to go a step further. The inverse question: what if you are with on a let's assume a first date, maybe a second, and it's like Mr. Confident, not arrogant, but just like super confident guy.
Yeah.
Who's well spoken, has the right thing to say to everything. Is that just as attractive, or do you have a different emotion about that?
No, absolutely. I mean, I love someone who can communicate effectively. I love someone who is confident and strong and willing to be who they are and not shift that or change that or try to be a chameleon for the situation. I mean, I understand that there are situations that require you to shift, right? Like if you're in front of someone's parents, if you're at church, if you're versus being in a bar or restaurant scene. But for the most part, no.
Okay, cool.
Last sentence, just based on this statement. A woman's feelings in a relationship are more important than the man's. Requested or rejected? Or better, okay, this is the better one. I didn't even think of this. Happy wife, happy life, or, that type of thing. Requested or rejected?
I feel a lot of pressure that I should answer first.
Go for it.
Requested.
I'm going to have to disagree with you a little bit on that one. And the reason being is because I don't think that either person's feelings or are one up over the other person. I feel like it's, again, situational. There are times when something's going to trigger me and I'm going to be upset about it. And in that moment, I hope my partner can come to me and see that I need extra attention or affection, or he needs to give a little more in that moment. But if the situation is reversed, I need him to know that I have his back just as much. And I understand that equality or balance doesn't look like this, because that...
Not all the time.
No, because that to me is a flat line. That means you're dead. Equality goes up and down in a relationship, and it's really just based on the person's needs, depending on what's going on. I don't know. You have a sick parent, you have a family member in crisis, you have a child who has something going on, then it's my turn to pull the weight. I'll do all the things. I'll manage the bills. I'll feed the dog. I'll water the grass. I'll do all the things so that you can tend to that. And then when it's my turn, because something's happening in my world, I just want reciprocity is all. And again, we talk about equality, and equality doesn't always look like the scales being balanced completely. It's kind of a teeter-totter effect.
True.
So why are you or why are you requested?
I'm a pleaser.
Okay.
That's my nature.
I
So-
am a pleaser as well, but I'm learning that I have to be very careful with that because you can get depleted as a pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're depleted, then you're not helping anyone. You're not
Mm-hmm.
servicing, you're not giving, you're not able because you've depleted yourself so much by giving that you have to, and I think it's about self-awareness. You have to know when to refuel in order to play that role. But I just don't think it's healthy to have a super imbalance where the woman, I mean, happy wife, happy life. Okay, great, but hello, someone come up with a rhyme about the guy. You guys gotta have a little, I mean, you gotta have something going on for you too. You have to have a reason to want to make me happy.
Also agreed.
So are you saying that naturally you put others' feelings in a relationship before yours? Is that kind of where you head, or is it you care more than the other people do?
I don't know if I want to answer that question. Yes,
Because-
to both.
I mean, there's two answers. Either you care more about it, so you put more effort into it, or the other
Oh,
option
this is a can of worms.
This is Pandora's box opening.
You know, there's this, there's kind of this dirty little secret in the male community. Maybe women do the same thing. I don't know. But this isn't a recent thing. Like since I've become an adult single, this is something that I even understood as a young adult too. Unspoken, if you will. The one who cares the least wins. That sucks.
Explain.
The one who cares the least wins.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the chaser and the chasee.
Mm-hmm.
So as one example. So the person who chases, the chaser, is the one who exhibits the most interest. Not clingy or needy, but just the one who exhibits the most interest. The one who initiates. So the person who initiates is the one who is probably the one who will say I love you first. And in my book, I call it swords and shields.
I like that.
Yeah, swords and shields. And it's not gender specific. I'm a shield. I'm not a sword. I look like a sword. I'm not a sword. I'm a shield. And a lot of people would assume that men are swords and women are shields, but that's not true, because I know a lot of women that are swords. And so the person, it is said, the person who says I love you first loses. The person who apologizes first
I don't know.
is the one who acquiesces. It's the loser. Like, these are stereotypes. I'm
Right.
not talking about actual reality. I'm not talking about your relationship or anything specific, but there's just kind of these psychological stereotypes with which is why I call it swords and shields, because you need both, right? It's the yin and yang of the balance.
I guess I feel like maybe I live in a fantasy world, because my hope is that we're both swords and shields. Like, I need my person to be able to pick up his sword occasionally, even with me, because sometimes I might get myself so worked up emotionally that I'm going to need him to, like, hello, shake me a little and bring me back to reality. But I also am going to need him to be the protector. I'm going to need him to shield me when it's appropriate. And I just have a thing about reciprocity. So if I'm in a relationship with someone, there are going to be times where I feel like, there are situations where I will be triggered and my blood will boil and I will pick up my sword and I will fight to the death. It's rare because you have to push me pretty hard to get me to that point. But I also want my person to know that I have that soft side. I have that feminine side. I will shield you. I will protect you in a soft way. But if war is calling, I'm picking my sword up, and I will protect my man or my family instantaneously. There's no question. I will step up, but it's for me, it's just situational.
Yeah.
It depends on what's happening.
I've said on this podcast many times, there's no absolutes. So I'm only dealing with, averages. And on the average, in every relationship, there's the person who's the chaser and the chasee. There's the person who's the sword and the shield, right? Just sort of default, right?
Sure.
And there is the person in the relationship who is the loved, and then there is the one who's the beloved. There is the one who is the pleaser, and then there is the person who enjoys being with the pleaser. I guess every once in a while, I don't know what the statistics are, but every once in a while, I suppose that there's this perfect happy couple where they're, I don't know, for my purposes, I'll say they're both pleasers. And like they just can't get enough of making the other happy. And there's conflict with that too. There's friction there too.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But all in, that's not a bad situation to be in.
Right.
What do you think, Ian?
I don't know if I agree with you.
Nobody's agreeing with me tonight.
I'm so sorry.
I suck. I wrote a book, Ian. I have
the
something
expert.
to say too.
You're the expert.
So
Yeah.
I guess where my disagreement comes from is that I agree more with what she says, is that ideally the right answer is a balance and a shared commitment to both people being equally important, or their feelings or their emotions being equally important. I think you're answering more from a realistic, and I think she's answering more idealistically, which I think the idealist answer is the correct answer. I think that's the correct answer, but is it the real answer? I think you answered the real answer, and I think she answered the idealistic answer, and I think people need to be striving towards the ideal and not the
real,
and not setting the bar lower.
Maybe that's why I'm undateable.
Maybe that's why I'm undateable.
Okay, I've got one more. We're doing a lot of requested or rejected today, but
Okay,
we've got a lot of topics built up, so we got to get some of them out so we can continue to fill the pipeline of these. So me and you had a conversation a little while ago, a couple days, and I thought it was hilarious because this is something you didn't know about, but I explained this to you. I'm just going to tell the story. There was someone who you thought was attractive, and she was wearing aviator or very large sunglasses.
Oh, yes.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's an equivalent to aviator sunglasses or bigger sunglasses on women to men. And my opinion is, and I told you this, I said, beware the big sunglasses on girls. They
You weren't
are
lying either.
They are the biggest mask, and they make someone look 10 times more attractive. And until they take them off, you can never really understand if they are
So
attractive
true.
or not. Now, there's an equivalent of this for men. And it is...
Okay, don't say it. Hold on.
I feel like I'm being educated right now. I'm excited about
What
this.
is it about? Man. Oh, okay. I'm ready.
What is it? What's your answer?
Hat.
Backwards hats.
Boom!
So...
Chicks love dudes in backwards
and
hats.
a backwards hat.
And backwards hats are liars.
Okay.
They are liars, just like
The
sunglasses on a girl.
person you see in the backwards hat, they could take their hat off and they go
Totally
from
different dude.
you are about ready to have their children to I
truth.
never want to talk
It's
to
the
this
truth.
person ever again.
We never, and by the way,
Same
we never
thing.
talked about this. This whole thing that he just brought up, like we talked about the aviators, but he and I never talked about the equivalent for a male. So I totally guessed it, and I dated a girl who, like, and quite specifically it was the backwards hat. Mm-hmm. I don't think she watches this show, but if she does, she's sitting there going,
So
She loved it,
but the equivalent
it's a liar.
to a girl, she can wear her sunglasses or whatever out in public, but until you see her and you go to dinner and she takes them off, you can see two completely different people.
Different. Totally different.
It's a mask. It's like going to a Mardi Gras event. They could be the most stunning person in the world, but until they take that mask off, you cannot make a judgment.
Okay, so I've never talked to anybody about this ever before, but I have this inside joke with myself, and I call it the 3/5 rule. And I joke about it because there's a bank based out of Indiana called Fifth Thirds Bank. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Okay, so the 3/5 rule is on most dating websites, statistically speaking, no matter how many pictures you have uploaded, male or female, so it's not gender specific, you have 5 picture opportunities. You can have 20 pictures, but if you don't have them hooked in the first 5 photos, it's game over. Swipe left. So if 3 out of 5 photos, any part of their face is covered, which for women is typically with sunglasses, swipe left. I won't read it. I won't look at any other pictures. Bam. Off to the left you go.
So my question is,
3/5.
for you,
Sunglasses.
For you, sunglasses, big sunglasses. I say aviators because it's kind of a typical thing that a girl would wear.
Are you surprised to hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true.
I just didn't really
It's so true.
think about it, but it
Yeah.
makes sense for sure.
I'm sorry, Ian,
So
but I could see her going.
Yeah, the wheels
I
are
could
turning.
like smoke.
yeah, for sure.
So for you, aviator sunglasses requested or rejected, and for you, backwards hats requested or rejected.
It's situational, so I'll borrow from you. Okay, I'm borrowing you. Situational. If it's a first date at the winery or second or third date or whatever, then like I've already met her, I know what she looks like. Sure, it's great, love it. I actually love girls in sunglasses and aviators. Forget about it. Whatever. It's like a backwards cap on a dude, you know. Dating profile. 1 picture. That's it. That's all you get in sunglasses. Eyes are beautiful.
Yeah.
Blue, green, brown, all the colors of eye and the blended colors. Mm-hmm. If you're covering that shit up, you're not covering your eyeball color. There's something else you're covering.
True.
If 3 out of 5 of your photos in your dating profile have it covered, and the other 2 that are not covered are like 100 yards away of you, yeah, that's a no-go for me. So, how about this? Properly rated.
All right.
Properly rated.
And now we have to turn to our guest and get her answer.
For me, like, eyes are the gateway. I mean, that's how I read someone is through their eyes. But the backwards hat thing, that's like a practical thing for me. Like, if the guy's wearing it practically because he's doing something that requires him, like, it's too much darkness and he needs to turn it because he needs the light.
Because he's playing poker.
Whatever. I don't know. Working on a car. I don't know. Something. But,
Okay.
or if he's on a motorcycle ride and he's got to turn it around so it doesn't fly off. Okay. That's practical.
I lost a hat on my bike recently. I'm really pissed about that still.
But if
Sorry.
it's just, for me, I don't know why this is so easy for me, but I can very easily read people based on their accessories. And a hat, sunglasses, what they're wearing, it's usually a telltale sign for me which direction. I kind of have categories that I pile people into.
Pray tell.
It's more
Said categories.
just
So what
like
does-
practical versus somebody who's putting on a show.
Okay.
So
I
what
gotcha.
does a backwards hat tell you?
And again, I guess if it's on a dating app, that one's hard because, if it's backwards hat and you can tell he's like out on a boat, cool. I can get that. If every single picture he has a hat on, I don't care if it's frontwards or backwards, then there's a problem. There's something he's hiding. And it's typically a receding hairline, balding. Like, guys get real insecure about that, which for me, it's not a big deal. Bald, hair, receding, not receding, that doesn't really matter. But I think it shows people's insecurities a little bit. Same with sunglasses for women, right? Like, it helps them hide who they are.
All right, so I'm going to fall on my own sword here.
Okay.
I'm not going to say which dating app it is because until the dating apps start paying me for my
Right.
consulting, I'm not going to give them the benefit of saying which one it is here. Let me find it here. So on this particular... All right, so here I am on this dating app.
Okay.
This is my first picture.
Okay.
Hat.
Yeah.
Hat.
Okay. No hat.
No hat. Hat.
Yeah. Hat. Holiday style. Yeah, but every
6
single one
pictures.
tells a story.
Right. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to show my lifestyle in these photos. And in my lifestyle, I wear a freaking hat a lot. But here's the thing. Like I just said, the 3/5 rule about women and glasses. And yet here I am, 5 out of 6 photos.
Right.
I'm wearing a hat. And look, even this photo that I'm not wearing
I know,
a
you
hat.
can't really see your
You can't even
whole
see my
head.
whole head.
Yeah.
So like I could have this whole cul-de-sac thing going and you wouldn't even know.
Right.
I wonder about that. Maybe I should update this. I haven't looked at it in
Okay.
a long time. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
you should update it. But
You think so?
yeah. But
Would you go out with me based upon what you saw here?
don't
answer that
I would
question.
friend you.
You would friend me? Thanks.
You're welcome. No problem. I think, maybe I'm not the right person to ask because I'm not on a dating app. So, and I'm not a big fan of them. So I might not be the right person to ask. I have a thing about, because I've been on them before and it just feels uncomfortable for me to be like swiping through human beings. And so I have decided where I'm at right now in my world that things have to happen organically. I'm just not, I don't, because every picture, it depends on the person's perspective who's looking at it. I could have a hat on in a picture and someone could say that I'm hiding something, or it's purposeful, it's practical. I'm riding a horse. I'm, whatever, I'm out in the sun. But it's all just perception. And so for me, I'm just kind of about meeting people organically, but I'm not in a huge hurry. So if you're in a huge hurry, maybe the dating app thing is more your speed.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a can of worms. Hurry
Right?
versus I'm not in a hurry.
Yeah.
Dating app versus organic. Interesting.
So the question is now, how do you flirt? What is your style of flirting? And what is the style of flirting that naturally pushes you away?
Wow, that one's tricky.
They're supposed to be.
Yeah, right?
Flirting.
Flirting, wow. I just like it to be fun. If people get insecure real quickly, that's a no-go for me. Like, or defensive, I guess. If I'm being flirty and I say something and they're defensive immediately, then
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, I'm just playing.
Now, I assume this means on a date, right, Ian?
Or is this texting? Because texting and in person is different.
Yeah.
Flirting
so
in
let's
person is
set
different.
this up.
Well,
This
Because if
isn't
you're on
like
a dating app and
accidentally-
you're like flirting via text or whatever, messaging is different flirting sometimes than if you're in person with someone.
okay, so
I'm not a good text flirter.
Yeah, I don't.
That's not my jam.
separate them, I guess, if you want to. But let's just talk about it like in person. Let's not talk about the virtual side.
Okay.
You're at a bar and someone over there they look good. How are you going to flirt
At a
with them?
bar. What about church, Ian?
Or church or
The grocery store.
Ooh.
there you go.
Ooh. Walmart.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're at Walmart.
What's up, Walmart girl?
Right?
What you doing in here in the middle of the day? Wearing no wedding ring and a mini skirt. I wish I could say I was joking, but that actually does
That's a
happen.
thing. Okay.
Okay, so what is yours?
So let's set it
Okay,
up. What do you want it to be?
Oh, like grocery store or Walmart or church or something? Is that what we're talking about?
So we agree that we don't want it to be
Virtual. We're not talking
Right.
virtual texting.
right. So we're not pen paling.
Right. That brings me
But is it a date or no? So let's
No,
do
no,
this.
we're
Date or
just-
not a date?
no, not a date.
A happen.
just
run-in.
organic. You run into someone
Okay.
and you're in the line or you're in an aisle.
Ooh.
Right? It's different.
Okay, so we're talking about shopping.
Yeah, and we're not talking about
This is gonna be
alcohol
fun. I love
involvement.
this. Yeah, I
Alcohol
love
brings
this.
a whole different level
Sure,
of
sure.
flirtation.
So are we in the checkout line?
Sure, fine.
Or are we in the...
You're in the produce section, and she's
You're
looking
looking
at
at
some. She's bagging up
apples.
some
I'm
lettuce.
really going to have fun with this. I'm actually getting a little excited.
She is.
Produce is turning you on. Okay. I'm worried.
This is exciting.
Okay.
Okay, so we're in the produce section.
Yeah, you're in the produce
We're talking
section.
about fruit or vegetables, Ian.
You're driving him
Look,
nuts.
he just rolled his eyes
Right?
at
Yeah,
me.
because he's like, okay.
Hey, if
pick-
you want to be terrific, you got to be specific.
Okay. Then I will set the scene, and then you will.
Set it up,
Okay,
Ian.
set it up.
Set it
You're
up.
in the produce section. She's bagging, or he is bagging, a head of lettuce to take home. I don't know why that was funny.
You just killed my mojo, man.
Sorry.
You just killed it. All right, head of lettuce.
Okay.
So it's they're grabbing some, I tried to find them like.
I feel like we need to move to the dog food aisle.
Oh,
maybe.
Okay.
The wet dog food?
No, God, dry.
I tried to find the least sexual food.
I know,
in the
right?
world
I know you
And
did.
because I knew your child side
my
would come
8th
out.
grade.
Yeah,
boy
15-year-old
bathroom
boy
would come out.
brain. Yeah.
That's why I went head of lettuce.
Yeah,
All
good.
right.
He was trying really hard, and
So
It failed.
and
It didn't fail. It was funny.
You see them 4 aisles away. So, you're in the produce section. So,
so I'm over in Smoothieville, like all the juice drinks, and you're in the produce section.
yeah, you're picking up a loaf of bread and they're, but you can see the person. Now go.
Have you ever seen a genuine South American bullfight?
No, not in real life.
Where they're dressed up, the hat, and they have the red cape.
And the where they're stabbing
Oh, yeah.
and all the
Right?
things.
Yeah.
No.
That would be 4 aisles over. I would charge. That's never happened.
You've never met someone that intrigued you in the grocery store? You've never approached someone in the grocery store?
No.
Okay.
Or Walmart or anywhere else.
Okay. Well then.
No, I've been polite,
Okay.
Like I'm a guy that'll say hello. But
But will you make a flirty comment to someone that when you're standing in line? It doesn't matter if you're at the post office, Walmart. Like, will you be flirty places? This is not about seeking someone out. This is just like, hey, I'm going to be flirty. Doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere. You're just flirty.
you know what? I have to rescind my answer. I have done it once.
Okay.
And it was at the Walmart in Fenton. And it was months ago. Probably definitely last year, but last summer or something, maybe even last spring. I don't remember. It was a girl from my church. Totally unexpected. I never go to that Walmart. I never go there.
Yeah.
And I knew her name, and I walked up and I introduced myself. It wasn't a full-on charge, right? I'm sitting here like puffing my chest, right? But it wasn't a full-on charge. But she was somebody that I recognized, and I thought, you know what? I've never said hello to her. I think I'll go up and just introduce myself.
Sure.
And then I'll wait, right? I'll see what I feel, right? You don't see what you see, you see what you feel.
Right.
And I did not get any vibe at all. Not crash and burn.
No.
But I got nothing from her. So I have done it one time, Ian. And I just forgot about it because it was a one-time deal. It was a minute.
Okay, then let's say.
But using your example, 4 aisles over, if I just felt this, this is going to be so Neanderthal, but I'm going to do it.
Okay.
If I smelt the pheromones, yeah, I'd charge. If it passed the eye exam, I would charge.
Well, okay, let's say
With no
this
shame.
person would have given you that sort of reciprocal like, oh, hi, like you can tell they are interested in talking to you in any way. Now, what is your flirting style? Like, do you make jokes? Do you compliment?
Well, I answered the first time. Now it's your
Oh,
turn.
way. Okay. I mean, I typically don't approach people,
Yeah,
like
but
that.
you just got approached.
but I got approached. I like people, so I'm gonna respond. I'll be like, "Hey, what's up? How's your day? Whatever." And I have been approached honestly, in the pet food aisle before. And this is the technique. They want to show me pictures of their dog. Like I'm just loading dog food into my cart. And so they'll go, "Hey, what kind of dog do you have?" And I'll tell them, "Oh yeah, cool breed, whatever." And then they're like, "Oh my God, I have this great dog I love, whatever." I'm, okay, cool. Let me see your pics. So they show me pics. I mean, again, it's about authenticity. Like if it's real and it's genuine and it's not cheesy, then I'll banter back and forth. But there's some kind of a vibe that's a deeper vibe than just like a quick flirt with someone. Like I can tell if it's somebody that I want to spend time with. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is just the caveman thing where it's a pheromone thing. But if it's someone I'm interested in, I'll keep the conversation going. But if it's someone that I'm not, it's short and sweet and polite and I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I have a flirting style though, really. I mean, I'm just
So what do
friendly.
you respond well to? Do you respond well to like humorous flirting or, maybe a more of a masculine flirting, like, kind of more intentional, straight to the point? Do you respond better to someone who's a little more passive and, kind of shows disinterest in some way? Like what draws you to them? And this is a answer for you.
For
I have
both
a
of
question
us?
for both of you.
Oh,
too.
I'm ready.
Do you
I'm
want me
ready.
to go first?
Please do.
So for me, humor is always that's for sure. I'm all about that. I love when people are just funny and silly and light. Love that. I'll be drawn in, even just superficially, just with humor. But I don't know if it's too intense right off the bat. My red flags are waving in the wind. I'm like, I don't know
This
about
is
you,
gonna
buddy.
be fun. Okay. So one of the things about the show is I constantly have to balance between what I'm going to share about my personal life.
Sure.
Just me on a very personal level. And what I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So this doesn't happen very often. I could probably count the number of times on one hand it's ever happened, and I'm a 45-year-old person.
Yeah.
And the reason is because when I let this creature out, there's no reeling it back in. So it's kind of one of those things where I have to be sure about it.
Sure.
If I'm on a date or it's never happened, but if it did happen, I would be thrilled. Maybe I'm saying that just because it's never happened, but if it happened in a grocery store or Walmart aisle or something like that, but if in some way, so I'm a toucher, I'm a touch communicator, and I'm not weird about it.
Yeah.
I'm not an over touch.
Sure.
But if I can touch you and I can see goosebumps on the back of your arm, and if somewhere along that way, like let's say within an hour or less, somehow or other, my mouth or my nose is on your ear or your neck, even if I just met you.
Really?
which, like I said, has never happened.
Right.
Then I know. I need help in. That's how I know.
Yeah.
So, but I've never made that I've never mistook a situation like that, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I've never taken that risk too far either. You know, well, okay, maybe I did when I was young.
I know, but I feel like that's like date
20s.
4 or 5. Like if you're just flirting with someone.
No, I understand. I totally get.
I don't
that's
know
what I've said.
that you
that's
get
what I said.
to that level.
I agree with you, and that's what I said. I want to be very careful about what I share,
Right?
Because there's a line between my personal life and what the show is in my book and everything.
Sure.
Okay, so mine is touch.
Yeah.
How do you feel about someone saying, "Hi, would you like to go out on a date with me?" Just like out of the blue, or do you prefer more small talk? What is it for you that kind of gets you interested faster?
Do you want me to go?
Should we go at the same time?
Yes. No. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll count down and you both say your answers.
Okay, that was funny.
Right.
I'm a yes. I think women are so overwhelmed with men's bullshit.
Yeah.
And a lot of those men are well-meaning, and they're good guys. They can be good guys. But they feel like they have to level up or play up or match up to some sort of standard that is mostly brought on by the fucking bullshit they're watching on social media or any media. But how refreshing is it for a man to walk up to a lovely lady and just say, "I think you're super attractive. I'd like to get to know you. May I take you on a date?" And actually say, "May I? May I take you out?" If there's a woman that says no to that, I mean, if she's married or engaged, like something you can't tell.
Right.
Like if a girl said, like, I'm just going to have a feminine moment here.
Sure.
If I'm a chick and the ugliest, most troll man, like if he's got boogers hanging out of his nose and has the mole the size of a nickel on his face with like a hedge of hair growing out of it, I'm still going to say yes to that dude.
I have. And I will tell you
Right?
that's why. Because if you have the confidence to approach me honestly and again, authentically, I just, even if it's not about because I'm going to pursue that person long term, but just that you had the courage, I guess, or the confidence to come up to me and say, "Hey, like I'd really like to go out with you and just get to know you better." All right, buddy, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, because
We're on the same page.
the first couple dates anyway are just about having fun and seeing if there's any kind of connection. So if I don't have to wade through and like dig through all the BS and the facade of someone and they just are upfront, that's way more appealing to me.
Agreed.
And it's only happened maybe ever in my life. It's probably only happened a handful of times.
So now let me answer as a man. That approach as a man, as much as I like it, does not work on me.
If a woman approached you that way, boldly, you would back up from that? Even if it's your celebrity crush?
Oh, it would work. If it was Sarah Rafferty or whatever her
Alyssa
name
Milano?
No,
Oh, you're past her now?
Marky Mark ruined it for me.
Okay.
When he, did the ass slap thing. So, here's why. Okay, so let me be fair to the question. And I'm going to have a dude moment, which I think I've said several times. I'm a guy, so I'm allowed.
Totally.
And you know what? I'm going to say 90% of the time that I make a statement like I'm going to have a dude moment, I really shouldn't call it that because women are the same. And I call it the eye exam. If a girl walks up to me who's really nervous, but I find her pleasing to my gaze, then I'll be like, okay. Let's do it. And that has happened, but not very often. Most of the time, and I hate to make it sound like that. If that were something to happen, if that were to happen to me and it didn't quite pass what I call my eye exam, especially online, right? Sure. Through a virtual environment, I'm out. Like, I don't even respond.
Right.
Like, I'm such the nice guy. Not anymore. I don't even respond and say no thank. Listen, here's what you know what I used to do? I used to say, "Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. You seem so wonderful. I'm kind of dating somebody right now, but thank you." I don't even do that anymore. I just don't respond at all.
It's a rare occasion, like I said, a handful of times when someone's approached me authentically. It's usually from a place of humor or opportunity, where it's just a situation where they happen to be near me, next to me, something happens, they step in. Maybe it's created, I don't know.
Yeah.
But rarely is it authentic. So
I can't even remember the last time that I was approached by a woman other than online.
Yeah, we've had the discussion about like the gym,
right?
Places like that.
And it's okay. I don't consider, maybe I'm a little old fashioned. I don't consider it's a woman's. Oh, I'm going to feel dirty if I say it like that.
I feel like there's a lot of pressure for men to be the initiators.
Yeah, I personally believe, and it's not because of old-fashioned values. It's not because of old-fashioned values, because I believe a man is responsible for all initiation.
I prefer it.
Most women do.
Truthfully.
Everything. All initiation.
And
it doesn't mean he has to lead all the time.
No, for sure. But the initiation part, I definitely,
it's a big deal.
Yeah. And I will say this, because I've had certain situations happen recently, and the pursuit is where it's at. It's all about how that is played. Mm-hmm. That will determine if we get past date 5.
True that.
Because if the pursuit isn't appropriate, I'm out like, pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And maybe when I was younger, it wasn't that way, because I think when you're younger, like, all attention is positive attention in your brain or whatever. But for me now, it's not that way. It's about quality. Mm-hmm. And if the pursuit doesn't have quality, then...
So it's a can of worms, but it is so I have a chapter in my book. It's called X-Men. And the entire chapter is written for men. And the next chapter is called Wonder Woman. And it's a chapter written for women.
Excellent.
And almost the entire, like 95% of the entire chapter of X-Men is about men need to learn, which, by the way, they don't need to learn. They're born with it since the beginning of time. It's part of their genetic code. Men need to remember how to initiate because it's in their body. They're born with it. And so it's a big, big topic. And I go into this pages long explanation of how it's been diluted and why and what men need to do about it.
Yeah, it's time. It's definitely time. There's a revolution that's happening.
I think I actually say, and it's time.
Yeah.
It's past due.
Absolutely.
It's been, okay, so give me, and I'm not trying to age you or anything, but, think about you and your kids and your mom and grandparents. How long has it been time?
It has been time.
Give me a year. When did it shift?
I would say
this goes back to masculinity versus femininity.
Probably in the 60s.
Okay. That was the beginning.
When there was the first shift.
Yeah. I love this topic.
And I think, I don't want to get too intense here, but I think that it has ramped up recently with the Me Too movement, which I want to be very careful about that because I want to honor
totally fine.
Women.
Yeah, I want to honor it too because there's a lot of dickheads out there that have done bad things to women.
Right, exactly. And I want to honor women who have gone through that and have been traumatized or affected in any way, shape, or form. Totally I don't want to take that away. However, it's kind of like, this is a terrible example, but I'm going to use it. Sort of like logging, like clear cutting versus selective logging.
Yes.
You can go into a forest and you can selectively log and you can make a forest healthy and balanced. But we went through a period in society where logging, everyone was clear cutting.
We were just clearing the forest.
Right. And it was, things were being decimated. Right.
Yeah.
And
I love that example.
And it was great. And the logging industry was powerful. And
I just got goosebumps.
And there were pulp mills and there were paper mills and all of these things. And that's where our economy was at and it was thriving. And then the, the do-gooders, the people who are really concerned about the earth and
no pun intended, the tree huggers.
Right. They stepped in and said, hey, this doesn't work for us. You're abusing the land. You're abusing this. It's not balanced anymore. Well, so then they became very powerful and loud and their voices were heard. And then the government stepped in and things started shifting. And again, this is just my perspective from a person who lived in Montana in an area where logging is prevalent and forest fires are prevalent. But then it went the other direction. So now the forest, the forest, swung hard. The forests are choked. Forest fires are so incredibly prevalent. And then society has grown. So there are homes now in these areas. Yep. And so when forest fires happen, people are evacuated, they lose homes, they lose livestock. It's a whole spiral. So it's the same concept with the feminism movement. The pendulum needed to swing. It just swung really hard and got stuck, I feel like. And now it's time.
You're in my head right
for
now.
that pendulum to start swinging freely again.
But will it? I think
it will have to. I think it's like anything where in nature, I think it will be forced to because something will happen. Right now.
I actually say in my book that I don't think it will retract. It's certainly not going to happen in my lifetime.
I don't think so either.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure that it'll happen
in my son and daughter's
in our lifetime, but I think it will be forced.
So that's the key word, forced.
Yeah. Until the time you can no longer monetize it.
Right.
It's the only time it's going to
Yeah.
shift in any direction, because media has a stranglehold on it and
Absolutely. And
milks it every single day for billions of dollars.
I don't like putting this out there, but I mean, it's almost like Civil War style, like where that's what's going to happen, where there's going to be.
Oh, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's happening.
And
that's what will happen. There's going to be a lot of bloodshed.
Yeah. And I hate
just like
even
the civil rights movement. There's going to
right.
be a lot of bloodshed.
And it's, I don't like that that's how we have to learn our lesson and that's how we have to modify. But it just seems like human nature sends us that direction every time.
Well, human nature only acts out of certain feelings. So we only fear, being like there's only certain times when a human will actually take action, or else they. So on a societal level, on a larger scale, it actually has to get to that point, because no one's going to take action until.
Well, it's sort of like in nature, with whether you're looking at deer and elk populations or whatever species you're looking at in nature. I mean, it will change course because it's forced to.
Yeah.
Even without human intervention. And that's what's going to happen with us as humans, is it's going to be forced to change direction.
So I'm a visual person, and when I've had these types of conversations with people actually on this topic, humans generally can't see past the tip of their nose. So what I mean by the tip of your nose is that people look like this.
Right.
We go through life like this. We can't see past, so we're cross-eyed, which means we can't see clearly. And for the human, generationally speaking, I look at that as you can't see past the tip of your death. Because we're not really trained to think, well, we could really have fun and get biblical here, but we're not trained at least in the Western society, to see past our own existence, or very far past anyways. We're not trained to see multi-generational. And so I look at it, how I look at it visually. If you've ever been, because I've been a bird hunter, right, my whole life, and, the marshes of Missouri and whatever. And if you've ever seen flocks, like I'm not talking about 200 birds here. I'm talking 5,000 birds all at once. And you've seen them. They go like this, right? They spin fast. They pivot. And it's abrupt. And you know what happens to the birds that don't?
Yeah.
They get shot in the head.
Bye, birdie.
By hunters.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen with this. I don't think it'll happen. It definitely won't happen in my generation, because it's worth too much money right now. And I'm 45, so it's gonna live really strong. It'll be monetized, like Ian says. It'll be monetized for another, I'm going to say 50 years, right? Well, until the end of this century, so more than 50 years. My son and daughter's lifetime, they'll probably see the beginning, right? They'll see the civil rights movement of the genders, right? So right now we're in the battle of the sexes, and my kids will see the beginning of the civil rights movement of the genders, probably in the 60s.
I feel like
2060s, that is.
I feel like it's been cyclical like this. I mean, at least it has been for me, where, we have all of this technology available, and it's really wonderful and it's really great. But then what we end up finding out is that all the technology in the world isn't the solution. We had to go backwards and look at a simplistic approach to something. And I feel like it's very similar. We have to, it'll go that direction where it's amped up. It's gotten to this extreme place, and then there'll be a forced reckoning.
People don't change until the pain of unchange outweighs the pain of change.
Yeah. It's all about leverage.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to end there. That topic.
That was good,
Okay,
man.
we've got one more topic.
All right, let's do this.
We talked about this a little earlier, but the replacements and, based on the movie, The Replacements, Keanu Reeves, I'm just going to describe it real quick for the people out there who might not have seen it, but essentially the professional football league in this, they didn't call it the NFL, but the professional football league, all the players go on strike. So the teams go and hire former collegiate players that were probably great players but didn't make it, or maybe they went to the local gym and found a really good athlete and said, hey, do you want to put some pads on? Anyways, they fielded a bunch of teams and continued on with their season without all these professional players that were on strike. That league was successful with these replacement players. So, relating it to our podcast, let's say you were left for the next person, and then that next person is the one that they end up marrying, or that next person is the longest relationship this person ever has in their entire life. How do you feel about that? They have it good after you, and maybe you did nothing wrong. They just met someone who they meshed with a little bit better. How do you feel?
Has that ever happened to you? That you're aware of?
Temporarily.
I love how you said that, temporarily.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, as much as it's kind of a blow, I guess, I don't know. I'm too old to have an ego now, but if I were to have an ego, I would say this is a blow to my ego. It has happened to me. Let me go a step further. It has happened to me on one side of the coin, and it has happened to me on the other side of the coin. It has happened to me where I parted ways, or we parted ways, and she was with the next guy for a lengthy bit of time. I'll tell that story. And it has also happened where we parted ways and I was with the next girl a lengthy part of time. So let me tell the first story. In as much cover up, masking, and non-specific details as I can to keep the innocent who are now still living protected. So this was some X amount of time ago, but I was in a very serious relationship, a very long relationship with a gal who was absolutely fantastic. And well, I guess I can't tell the whole story without giving some timeline. This was when I was a young man. And I left her. I shouldn't have, but I was an idiot. And she not only met the next gentleman, she married him, and she is married to him to this day. It doesn't sting. I get it. And he's worthy. He's a good looking dude. He's got a great job. They have, from what I can tell, I mean, they live a long ways away, but I can tell that it appears, right? Social media, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is she married the next dude, and they're married to this day. Like, that was practically teenage years, and now I'm 45. Like, they've obviously navigated life. So I have been that person who lives with that?
I think we've all had a little taste of that for sure. I think for me, yes, I've had it happen. And yes, in the moment, initially, it stings. But I also have this philosophy that we meet people for a reason and a season. Sometimes that season is, it's multiple seasons. But there's always a reason, I believe, that people come into our lives. We're supposed to teach each other things. We're supposed to learn from each other. And so once I get past my ego and past the hurt of it, I usually can accept that there's a reason that person is with my former person. In my younger years, I didn't always let it go so smoothly. There was conflict. I'm not proud of this, but there was some threatening that happened and some things because I saw it coming before we wrapped up our relationship. So there was a little sword fighting happening at first. But right. And some strong words suggesting that maybe they not spend time with my person. Now I'm a little more relaxed about that. And I really do believe, and again, it does hurt at first, right? We're all human beings. It stings a little, whether we want to be, whether we're trying to be stand-up people or not. It hurts. It's a blow to the ego. But again, I really do believe that we're all supposed to meet the people that we meet and have the interactions that we have for a reason. I can tell you that when those things have ended, and that's where I went with the temporary, I did do a little happy dance because it validated some things for me.
Yeah.
So
there's a piece of this that you didn't mention, Ian, and I only thought of it because it brings into focus a friend of mine who is dealing with this situation currently, and here is what this situation is. He or she was excused from a marriage for the next person. And they have kids.
Yeah, that's tough.
And the next person is now living with the new person, which means my friend and the other person. Am I making sense? I'm trying to be so general here.
I'm tracking you.
So in other words, when things like a kid's extracurricular activity event occurs,
sure,
my friend shows up alone and single, while their ex shows up with their new person and the new person's kids to watch their kids' sporting event, and my person has to put on a smile.
Right. That is so difficult. I have a really hard time with the kid part, the mingling of especially when it's new. That's really fragile ground. And I totally respect the person who can put on a good face for the kids' sake and handle it. But that's
I will
tough.
tell you that my friend did an exemplary job at being cordial. I couldn't do it.
I honor that person
Yeah.
because I don't know that I could be that
Yeah.
stellar.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to do something different.
Never been done before.
Never been done before. Give us a topic. I have no idea what you're going to talk about. Ian doesn't know.
What do you want to talk about? Not what do we want to talk about. What do you want to talk about?
So with dating, we meet a variety of people. A lot of them like stellar people. Just, I mean, really great humans. How do you decide rather quickly that you're going to move past someone, or if you're going to give it an opportunity? Because we can talk about 1 date, 2 dates, and or there's well, we dated for 2 or 3 months and I knew. How do you decide if someone is worth, and worth is such a, I mean, I don't like someone else deciding someone else's worth, right?
Yep.
But how do you determine rather quickly so that you try to limit the amount of damage that's caused when you move forward?
I have a quick and dirty answer, and then I'm going to let you be philosophical.
Thanks. Because he knows I will be.
Because you're not determining someone else's worth, but you're determining someone else's worth to you.
Sure.
And in your life. That's first of all. Second of all is probably the most important thing is you have to almost write down your daily thoughts, or you need to have some sort of audit of what your day-to-day looks like. How often does this person come up? How do you think about them when they come up? Because your natural instincts will tell you what to do. When this person texts you, how do you react to it? When this person, that's the type of thing where you take inventory, that you need to take inventory of. In reality, it's the old question: if I'm 80 years old, will I regret letting this person go, or will I not? That's my quick and dirty answer. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, you're always spot on, dude. And okay. I always have a different line of thinking.
Yeah.
So it's so funny. So I'm writing my second book. My first book's not even out, and I'm already on my second. And I affectionately refer to this as Rate This Date. It's toward the front of the book. And it builds on the first one, the first book, and specifically the 3 pillars. I'm not going to go into that now, but there's the big chapter in my book is called the 3 pillars. Mm-hmm. And so rate this date. And I don't know, it's kind of self-explanatory. You went on a date with someone, maybe it's the first or the second, the third, whatever. And everybody has their own quantifiable system in their brain that they use to ask their own question. Well, how did that go? Right? So the date's over, you're driving home. Well, how did that go? And you're rating. And so I'm spending a lot of time asking and interviewing, surveying. So I'm going to be very careful here, but I'm going to be gentle with you, and I'm going to preempt you by saying I'm going to turn your question back to you, which is not fair. It's not fair, but I'm telling you, I'm doing it before I do it.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different rating system.
Sure.
Most of us are not aware that we have a rating system, and men and women, it's not a gender thing. Men and women have very similar rating systems depending on personality type and, different things that I go into, like sex languages, even. That's a new term. I've never said that before. I don't think there's anything out there like that. But we have rating systems, and those rating systems that go on in our head subconsciously. Imagine, the sands in an hourglass. And at the end of all of that, it drops down into a single teeny tiny grain of sand that drops down into the bottom of the hourglass all the way down below that says yes or no. Mm-hmm. Everybody has it. And if they say they don't, they're lying to themselves. Everybody has it. Everybody. And do you know what your rating system is?
I mean, I didn't. I really didn't until
most people don't.
Recently.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets a little hairy.
It does.
So it kind of depends on where you're at in your process, in your healing process, because where you are emotionally can sometimes determine your decision-making ability. And I will tell you, I dated differently earlier on in the process than I'm dating now. Mm-hmm. And going back to your hourglass reference, I do feel like there are people who fall through that hourglass rapidly, right? Like it's a no, 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 no,
Mm-hmm.
no. But then sometimes as you get, as the sand starts being depleted, you're starting to get like the cream rises to the top kind of thing. And so you get these really cool people who come into your world, and you're needing to make a decision on how much time you're going to spend with them, like getting to know them. And then ultimately it does drop down to that one because, right? I mean, most of us typically are not in polyamorous relationships, and we are going to choose one.
Well, let's hope not.
So, I mean, and I guess all of our systems are a little different, but it's just intriguing to me how each person does it, and that's the reason for the question. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's one answer. I think it's kind of everybody does it differently.
So I'll do kind of a spoiler here. This is totally freestyle. Like we didn't know what you were going to ask. So in my second book, I suggest that there are 4 stages for dating. Mm. The first stage is fun. Mm. So you're dating for fun, networking, friendship, just raw, crazy, unbridled sex, situation, ship, undefined, uncommitted. Mm-hmm. Stage 1. Stage 2 is where, and by the way, you don't go through these stages, right? You can start at stage 2.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right. It's not something you have to level up. You can start anywhere. Some people start in the wrong place.
Right.
That's a different whatever, but so you can start anywhere. So stage 2 is where, so as you can imagine, it's a graduated level. And stage 2 is where I like this person. Mm-hmm. maybe I love them. I don't know. But I do know enough that this is my person. Mm-hmm. I'm committed. I'm monogamous. I'm not on dating apps. I'm not flirting with the girl at the grocery store that's 4 aisles over. I'm saving myself for this person exclusively. It's an exclusive deal. Mm. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm trying to be married or that I even want to be married again. And this is all completely autonomous from how that person might be feeling. This is just dealing with the singular. So that's stage 2. Stage 3. And I really struggled for a while differentiating between stage 3 and 4, but I decided that they really are 2 stages. Stage 3 is where this is my person for life. But I'm not going to marry her. I'm not going to marry him. They're not moving in with me. This is a real thing with singles. Adult singles. I'm going to say 40 plus. Mm-hmm. These are adult singles who have had, look, I'm just going to be honest about it. They've had enough trauma from past experiences, and those traumas are physical, mental, emotional, and financial. Mm-hmm. Those are the 4 traumas that I identify. And they want to have a significant other. They want to be committed, a marriage-like commitment, but they don't want to sign the contract. They don't want to live together, so they want to keep their own autonomy. But they are absolutely committed to that person, even more so and even stronger than they ever were to the person they were married to. Mm-hmm. And then stage 4 is all of that, and I desire to be married. So, what stage are you at?
Wow.
I'm not asking you to answer that question because it's very
I think
pointed.
It's something that you have to consider, pointed. Right? I think it's something to think about.
But like just me kind of going through, and this is completely random. I had no intentions of talking about this. Right. But I would say in that little 5 or 10 minute, whatever I just did, that is probably 70% of my second book. Mm. Because people need to get real with that. Absolutely.
And I think a lot of this dating topic is really about self-reflection. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really have to do with all the different varieties of people out there who come into our lives. I think it's really about getting to know yourself first and really intimately.
Right.
Before you can decide what stage that you're in.
So I can be on a first date, second date, fifth date, whatever, with a person, but somewhere along there, going back to where I started this, where it gets to the DTR, and I didn't say what the DTR is.
Thanks a lot.
Determine the relationship.
Okay.
Sometimes you can DTR after a first date, at any time after between date 3 and 6, and I calculate that based upon hours because I'm a total nerd. Different discussion. But somewhere between 3 and 6 is where you can really do a DTR individually. Anyways, so if I determine somewhere along that curve that person is not in the same stage as I'm in, then I know. And it's best to, in my opinion, because I'm not always right. That's for sure. It's best to, if you're having a great time and you have great energy, just let it stay there. Don't try to let it be something that it's not. Sometimes people that are at stage 1 jump a stage or 2. Some people, and by the way, I find that this, oh boy, I hope I don't get murdered for this. I find with women, both personal experiences and through a lot of conversations, a lot of women are in stage 3 and 4. A lot of men are in stage 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Especially if they're in that 40 plus category. Men will stay at the stage that results in the highest reward. For them. Women hop around. It's like hopscotch. Remember the game hopscotch? You throw the rock. Right. You can go front. You can go back.
Yeah, you can
1
skip 1
to 4 to 2 to 3.
Yeah.
But it makes sense if you're dating someone and you're a good guy and you're a good gal, like you're a good person.
Yeah.
Don't f around with somebody who's not the same stage you're at.
Right.
It's just gonna mess up the vibe. You're gonna mess up the chemistry, and you're gonna hurt somebody's feelings, and it just doesn't make sense. Never makes sense.
So the only thing I have to add, and this is, I'm going to use Gary V's lingo on this one. The people that are having trouble deciding are still in the micro or the everyday. They're
Love Gary V.
They're only paying attention to day to day. I enjoyed hanging out with them. Watching the movie with them was fun. I enjoy their company when I go to the grocery store. So like they're in the micro, they're in the the day to day how I felt. The ones that can actually make a decision are the ones looking macro. They're the ones that are taking the 1,000-foot view of their relationship and their life, and then they can make a decision on where this is going, because they're actually seeing, has my mood changed since I started dating to this person?
True.
How has my life changed? How has my relationships with the people that I was very close with prior to this? How's my job? Am I struggling at work now? Am I thriving at work now? So that's the people that are able to make those decisions are the ones looking from the 1,000-foot view, and the people that can't make those decisions are the ones that are continuously looking at what happened yesterday or the day before. I personally know someone who stayed in almost a 6-year relationship, and every time I asked about, or we would talk about them, oh, today was good. Last week was good. Our date last night, that was good. But they wouldn't be able to tell you that, oh, I've been actually miserable on the inside for the past, 2.5, 3 years. But yesterday was pretty good. I enjoyed spending time with them yesterday. But in reality, deep down, they're not happy. So.
Which is a whole conversation about compatibility.
Right.
And, the whole example that I made about the stages, like stages 1, 2, 3, and 4, people can move.
Sure.
Even in a Now the stages I developed were for single people, but even in a marriage, people can move around, and compatibility it's the roller coaster, Ian, right? It's about the roller coaster. Are you on the same place on the roller coaster? Roller coasters are fun. When you're together, right, in the car side by side.
Sure.
But when you're not, it's not fun.
I think that's it.
It got kind of intense there. Are you good with that?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm really good with it. Was that too intense for you?
No.
No, we're intense people.
Yeah, so let's wrap it up.
Bye.
Peace out.
Peace.